Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, from the top of the North Pole to the bottom point of Australia, from Old Mexico to New Mexico to regular Mexico, from New Hampshire, Old Hampshire, Hampshire, from Old Jersey, New Jersey, Jersey. If you're listening to this, welcome to the Underground MMA Show. We're coming at you at a really special time, and by really special time, I mean, I don't have a watch on, 1:51 a.m. on a Thursday morning. If you're wondering why I'm up and why I have this much energy, I decided to go to sleep at 7:45 for some reason. Don't ask why. And I wake up, and all of a sudden, it's 1 o'clock. I have a problem. I have a problem where I try to go to bed early sometimes, just be a good kid, and then it never works in my favor. I do not know why. I try my hardest to get like a good night's rest, fall asleep at 7:45, 8 o'clock, whatever you want to call it, class at 8 in the morning. I can get 12 hours of sleep, but then, who's ever controlling my sleep schedule is like, all right, actually, I don't like this kid. We're going to wake him up at 1 in the morning and be wide awake. So here I stand, it being 1:52 now in the morning, and I am about wide as awake as ever. Just down some pie. Shout out to Ackett's Pie. If you guys are like big in the pie, big in the desserts, cannot go wrong with the cannoli pie from Ackett's. Chat's, I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say it right. I don't buy the pie. I have my mother buy it. But it is so good and so worth it. I think it's literally $20.99, and like I gave a piece to like 8 people, and I ate a lot, like probably an unhealthy amount of pie. Like a very unhealthy amount. Like I probably shouldn't have ate that much in the span of 10 minutes. But hey, I'm here to tell the story. I wiped off all the whipped cream because I get a lot of it on me. Got a little on my shirt too. But we're all good now. Want to know why? Because we're doing a podcast. We're doing the Underground MMA Show. One of my favorite things to do. This is a weird episode to on a Thursday. If you're wondering why I'm doing this on Thursday, for those who don't know, I was birthed 19 years ago on Monday, and so I kind of didn't want to do it on my birthday just because, I was vibing, and on Mondays are usually my most busiest days, or at least one of them. Tuesday was a grand scheme of things. I was supposed to go meet my family in Novi, Michigan, which from me is about an hour from here it's an hour and 17 minutes. If you plug it into your GPS, Apple, Google Maps, whatever you want to call it, Olivet College, which is where I go, to Cheesecake Factory in Novi, Michigan is an hour and 17 minutes. If you plug Cheesecake Factory if you plug Olivet College to Cheesecake Factory Grand Rapids, it is an hour and 17 minutes. An hour 17. I got absolutely played. I got played. For those of you wondering and don't know, I drove all the way to Grand Rapids. Thinking that I was going to the right place. But whenever I drive home from school, because I got to drive east, I think. I don't know. I'm not Christopher Columbus. I don't know that. I have to drive east. So I always drive through Novi when I get home. And so there's about 15 minutes left of my drive, and I'm like, dude, why are there so many trees? Like, where is the city? Because I know around Novi is, Walled Lake, Brighton. I always pass those. And so eventually there's like 15 minutes left of my drive, so it says I'm going to be there in 15 minutes. And I'm like, dude, why isn't this city yet? I look at my phone. I'm in East Kentwood, Grand Rapids, bro. I was like, oh my God. It was the most awkward conversation with my dad. Shout out to my dad. Sorry, Dad. Really awkward conversation. I went a little like, hey, Dad, just want to let you know, I'm in Grand Rapids. He's on the other line. He's like, okay. I don't think he got it at first. He's like, okay. And I was like, I'm in Grand Rapids, Dad. He's like, how in the world did you get there? And I had to explain myself. It was quite stupid. Probably one of the dumber things I've ever done. And that's saying a lot. That's dear God, is that saying a lot. Probably one of the stupider things I've ever done. but here we stand. We made it. Then I had to drive an hour and a half to Novi. I was only an hour late too. I was, don't tell the police, but I was going fast. I was going fast, man. Really fast. Really fast. I only saw one cop on the hour and a half drive back. It took hour and a half drive. Took me an hour 10 minutes. Supposed to get there at 7:13. Got there at 6:58. That's how you drive. Anyway, and then Tuesday, that was Tuesday. Wednesday, we woke up, had early class. I went to the athletic trainer. Then I went to practice, and then came back, ate, and I kind of just fell asleep. Like, that's literally what happened. Fell asleep. So I didn't do it today, but it's 1:57 now in the morning, and no one's in my room. And I figured, what a better time. I'm listening to Frankie Edgar talk about his past fight this weekend. I'm listening to him on his podcast, Champion the Tramp. Check that one out. And I'm like, you know what? I've got to do it this week. It's too good of a week to not talk about. Let's make it happen. So here we are. Let's get into it. This past weekend, I actually, this is one of the first cards in a minute that I did not watch a single fight live. But I did watch the entire card over. I watched the entire card over. So I was able to get a glimpse of what happened. Shout out to my boy Cody Simmons for having 3 fights canceled just to fight on one card. It's absolutely insane, man. That's such a terrible break. For those of you who don't know, Cody Simmons is from Michigan. I met him at the airport. 3 years ago. Super cool dude. He's from Michigan, which there's not really a lot of fighters who are from Michigan. So, I just take the ones who come and who happen to be really, really good. And in my opinion, one of the top dogs at 135. I just got to take those and run with them. So shout out to Cody Simmons. Nobody should have to go through 3 fight cancellations. That's absolute garbage. But this past weekend, we had a couple cards. We had UFC Overeem Volkov card, and we had Paige Van Zandt making her bare knuckle debut. I did not watch that fight. If you think I'm paying $40 to watch Paige Van Zandt fight, you are out of your mind. Out of your mind. No offense, Paige Van Zandt. No offense. I'm happy for her. She said she made, $1 million in her bare knuckle debut. I don't know how bare knuckle has that money to pay her, but I mean, I'm not a promoter. I'm not a money mogul for a reason. So, in that case, shout out to Paige Van Zandt for making that cash. But no, I mean, from what I heard, the stats I saw, she didn't fight bad. She didn't, leave the cage looking like Artem Lobov. It was a really strange post-fight interview from who she fight? Britain Hart or whatever. Really strange interview. I was like, it's something along the lines of, I'm not a person, I'm a feeling. And I'm like, what am I listening to? Listen to it on my favorite podcast, Below the Belt. Shout out to B-Shop. Shout out to Chin, making that happen. Underground Knee MMA show is going to be just a big one day, though. Watch out. Watch out, boys. Watch out. So, yeah, so that's that. So I have to really say about that. Paige Van Zandt, I mean, she'll keep getting fights there. It doesn't matter if she's a bare knuckle, one, Bellator, or UFC. She's a draw, and she deserves to get paid at this point in her life. She has her husband who's 4 or 5-0 in Bellator or something like that. And it sucks because I'm a fan, but she's not very good. She's really not. She's not a good fighter. And I say that knowing wholeheartedly she could absolutely kill me if she ever got bored. Probably. Shout out to Paige Van Zandt. But, she's not, no, it's just weird for her to go to bare knuckle boxing when it's strictly boxing, when she's been in mixed martial arts for so long. I feel like that was kind of a strange, really, really strange choice for Paige to go all the way to bare knuckle. I was like, what? It was a little strange, especially because, no, she's pretty good on the ground. Her jiu-jitsu game's strong, and I've never considered her stand-up game anything special, but from what I heard, she kind of went to bare knuckle with the hopes of taking beatings and getting punched in the face and proving she's more than a fighter, or excuse me, that she's more than a pretty face, which I mean, we always knew that. No, unless you're Stephen A. Smith and you're just clueless, if you have the guts to step into that cage, you're a fighter. I don't care if you're Mike Jackson, who's just a reporter and wants to try it. If you have the guts to step in that cage and fight another human being in 4-ounce gloves and nothing but your underwear, you have the absolute guts. And unless you're Stephen A. Smith, who that dude's an idiot. He just says things for reviews. Unless you're Stephen A. Smith, you should respect that. I've always respected anybody who can step in that cage. So that's all I'm going to say on that, because I know it's a sensitive topic. One thing not sensitive is Stephen A. You're an idiot. But getting to the card, I didn't watch the prelims. I saw Devante Smith beat my boy Justin James. Pieced him up good. That's about all there is to say. He pieced him up good. It was a good stoppage. James can see that eye was messed up. He's 1-3 in the UFC now. That's tough. But for Devante Smith, no, there's a lot of people who wrote him off. He was a young up-and-coming prospect, and then he suffered a loss, and he got injured. He was out for, a year or something like that? And now he's back. This was his comeback fight. And me, personally, I think this was an awesome fight for Devante. He's a young dude at the lightweight division, and he's an absolute dog. He can be a top dude one day. And so for Devante Smith to go in there and get a win, it kind of, solidifies himself that, he's there to stay. Devante Smith is a dog to watch out for at 155, a definite up-and-comer. It says in the prelims, if you didn't know who Ode Osborne was, what is wrong with you, first off? 2, get hit to Ode Osborne because he's an absolute dog. Knocked out Jerome Rivera in 26 seconds. If you don't know who Ode Osborne is, absolute beast. I believe he was on the Contender Series. I remember watching that fight, him on the Contender Series. I was like, that dude's good. I remember he got a contract. I was like, that dude's good. So for him to go out there, he's a dog. Ode Osborne, watch out for that man. We had a Timur Valev beat Martin Day. Didn't watch it. Seung Woo Choi beat Yusuf Zalal. Excuse me. Didn't watch that. Alora Proscopio beat Molly McCann. Molly McCann, big fan of Molly McCann. Meatball. And then you had Cara Rosa beat Jocelyn Edwards. Did not watch that. But looking for you guys, I watched the entire main card. Danilo Marquez beat Mike Rodriguez, a classic BJJ practitioner versus striker. What happens a lot of the times, just gets taken down. Things happen. Then in a fight how did you score a split decision? I don't know. I don't know who was on the side judging, but I was big. I still am. I was big on Diego Ferreira, and so especially when this fight against Beneil Dariush came about, I was big on the fact that Diego Ferreira was going to stop the hype train. I was really big on it. I'm a big fan of both of these dudes, and so I was kind of interested to see a fight. I wasn't really cheering for anybody. Just kind of hoping for a good fight, good scrap. And, for Beneil Dariush to go out there and beat Diego Ferreira, it really solidifies himself as somebody at 155. As we all know, 155 is absolutely loaded with just every single thing you can ask for. If there's anything you want in the world, just look at lightweight. It has everything. I'm pretty sure Khabib's done. Who knows what's happening with that? But you have Dustin here. When your top 4 is Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira, and Michael Chandler, there are so many good fights to make just out of those 4. And that doesn't count in the fact that you have Tony Ferguson right below them, Conor McGregor right below there, Rafael dos Anjos, Dan Hooker, and Beneil Dariush. I hate talking for a lot because then I get knots in my throat. Jeez. Gotta drink some water. Shout out to Members Mark Purified Water. Shout out to Gabe for giving me this because I didn't feel like getting in my car. 2 full packs of water in my back seat. Should never bring them in. I always forget. Oh, gosh. Science and things. But as I was saying, for Beneil Dariush, there's so many fun fights. I think personally, next for him, give him Paul Felder. Him versus Paul Felder is an absolute cracker of a fight. I think it's a way for Paul Felder to finally get a win after a tough loss to Hooker, tough loss to RDA in 5 days notice or something crazy like that. After tough losses to both those dudes, I think for him to go out there and stop a dude who's rising in a fight night main event would be an absolute cracker of a fight. And I think that has potential a fight of the year honors on it. And I honestly couldn't tell you who would win that fight. I'm probably higher on Paul Felder than I am on Beneil Dariush. That's a fight that, it could seriously help Dariush's stock, and it could seriously help Paul Felder go out there and win fight and finally get a win back on his record the first time in a year or so, whatever. And for him to finally be able to go out there and show why Paul Felder's still here. He retired or whatever, but there's a lot of people who retire mixed martial arts just because they're upset with a loss. Paul Felder is not that guy. And to think that at 11, 12, and 13 in the lightweight division, you have Carlos Diego Ferreira, you have Kevin Lee, and you have Ali Quinta. And don't forget at 14 you have Islam Makhachev, who's booked against Drew Dober coming up, and at 15 you have Gregor Gillespie. That is the best division possibly ever. That and 135 are the 2 best divisions, most deepest, depthful divisions. It's insane. It's absolutely insane what's going on at 155. Ton of good fights there. Next we had Alessandra Pantoja defeating Amino Cape. This is a fight I was big in. Amino Cape. He was a dog. I think he was in Risen. Don't call me. He was an absolute dog out there. And Pantoja was already ranked 5 at 125. And me personally, I thought Cape was going to go out there and show why he's such a contender. He's 15-4, 15-5 now. But in my opinion, he went out there and he was kind of slowed it down. He was kind of scared to get hit, and he kind of wanted to play the small ball game. And Pantoja, I think, was in it for the long run, and Cape was kind of in it for the short run, and he was just scared of getting hit. He didn't want to get hit, and he kind of wanted to counterpunch, but he wasn't doing a very good job at it. And it was a tough loss, especially for Cape, who was such a highly touted prospect coming in, and who hits hard. Hits very hard. So next for Cape, I think he just needs to take a second, just think, all right, that sucked, because he's fighting these dudes who are fighting the top dudes. He's fighting at 125, where you have Davison Figueiredo, Joey Benavidez, Brandon Moreno, Alessandra Pantoja, all the top dudes. I don't care what you say. Those are the top dudes at 125 in the world, especially in Bellator, not having any 125ers. The only person that you can make a case for outside of UFC is Demetrius Johnson, but he's at 135 now, so you can't really even count that. But I guess if you want to count the best flyweight in the world, Demetrius Johnson is still fighting. He's fighting at 135, coming up, April 7th, same card as my boy Eddie Alvarez, Underground King. What up? Next for Cape, he kind of had a bad attitude in the post-fight, which I kind of didn't like. I thought it was kind of disrespectful. It's Pantoja, who's just trying to show him, it was a good fight. It was a good fight. No, and then at the end of the fight, Pantoja and his team tried to go up to him and talk to him, but he wasn't really having it. I don't really like when people do that. I find it rude, disrespectful, but what do I know? I'm going to die. Jeez. Oh, man, dude. That's one thing I did not think about podcasting. I listen to these people talk for hours on end. Joe Rogan talks for 3 hours. I talk a lot. And I don't know why. Just whenever I talk over here, I just all of a sudden right here it always gets scratchy. And if you can't hear me right now, my voice is pretty darn scratchy. Next, we had, in my opinion, two of the most insanely fun fighters to watch of all time, both going at it towards the end of their careers. I didn't expect Clay Guida to get this done. I was still high on Michael Johnson. I think Michael Johnson is honestly one of the best dudes to never really crack like the top 5. I don't know if he ever did crack the top 5. His skill set was always just so fast paced. He knocked out Dustin Poirier. He beat Tony Ferguson. He's been in there with absolute dogs. But for Clay Guida to go out there and get a win against Michael Johnson, his wrestling was just shut down by Clay Guida. It was straight up simple as that. I mean, Clay Guida is one of those dudes who he's just a simple savage. No, it doesn't matter how old he gets. He's still as crazy as he was 15, 20 years ago, 30 fights ago in the UFC. I think this was his 30th fight for the promotion. And, and he's still going out there and he's doing the thing. He's doing it. Next, it's a weird situation for Clay Guida because, he's not a top dude. I know it. He knows it. Everybody knows it. But, excuse me. But there's one thing that the UFC's been doing lately, especially with the booking of Clay Guida and Michael Johnson, and at the same time, the booking of Cowboy Cerrone and Diego Sanchez. Which one thing I'm a fan about is that or rather the UFC hand all these legends who are way past their prime and are done, and they hand them to all these young and hungry up-and-comers. Like, for example, Corey Sandhagen, Frankie Edgar. You fed an absolute dog to a past his prime legend who really didn't deserve that. But one thing the UFC's been doing is they've been handing all these legends out to fight other legends who are just in the same boat. And at the same time, I kind of understand why the UFC does the things they do, and why Corey Sandhagen's fighting Frankie Edgar, because they're trying to give Sandhagen a push. And okay, he just knocked out Frank Edgar in 28 seconds. He's a dog. Let's get him a shot. And that's kind of the thing that I understand. But at the same time, just as a true fan, as a true fan of just watching people be happy, I'm a big fan of what the UFC's been doing, trying to book these two legends going at it at the same time, who are both past their prime, and just seeing who's there. If you saw Cowboy and Diego Sanchez fight, both in their primes, both 10 years ago, there's no way that that's not a fight of the year. And now, it sucks that it's 10 years later. They're both past their prime. Diego Sanchez is a retirement fight. But at the same time, at least we could see it. And for Cowboy, I think it's a pretty easy win. And then he can finally break this, 4 or 5 fight losing streak he's on. And I think it just works out for Cowboy. And it knocks Diego Sanchez out in his retirement fight, which I think is kind of funny. Now, I know I'm a terrible person for saying that, but Diego Sanchez scares me. First off, straight up scares me. And I think it'd be pretty cool. Straight up. I think this is an awesome fight. That's an awesome fight. Clay Guida versus Michael Johnson was an awesome fight. And I think Diego Sanchez versus Cowboy Cerrone is going to be an awesome fight as well. Next is what everybody's talking about. Just straight up, this is what everybody's talking about. You have Corey Sandhagen beating Frankie Edgar by flying knee in 28 seconds. I called it. Dude, oh my goodness. Pause. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my favorite part about Zoom, is I can just pause the recording, not have to edit it or anything, and I can just pause the recording, and we're all good. I Googled it. I'm going to fix my posture, and maybe that'll help, because my throat is very scratchy right now. I'm not sick. I swear. But anyway, let's just get right back into it. No point in waiting. Let's just get right back into it. Corey Sandhagen beat Frankie Edgar. I guarantee you've seen the clips. No way you haven't seen the clips. 28-second flying knee knockout in one of the most perfectly executed flying knees of all time. In my opinion, probably the second best flying knee knockout we've ever seen. The only reason I think I'm going to give Masvidal it because it was so fast and so clean. This one was also so clean, but 28 seconds. Come on, Corey. Speed it up, man. I got things to do. No, I'm just kidding. This was, I mean, I can't say it was a good fight because there wasn't much fight to it. It was a great performance by Corey Sandhagen. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was backing up, trying to draw in Frankie Edgar, and it worked perfectly. It couldn't have gone any better for Corey Sandhagen. And he scored a flying knee knockout. It hurt to see that for Frankie Edgar. I'm not a Frankie Edgar fan per se. No. I'm just a regular Frankie Edgar's fighting. Tune in. He's a good guy. He's a good fighter. He's a legend. I wouldn't, go out of my way to say I'm a diehard Frankie Edgar fan, but, if Frankie Edgar's fighting, I'm probably going to tune in. And, especially hurts to see, a true legend of the sport and Frankie Edgar go down so heavy and so, how do you know how to put it? Frankie Edgar went down so heavy and so hard, absolutely knocked out. There's no other way to put it. If you're Corey Sandhagen, you're 5'10", and you fight at 135, you're just OP. Like, you're overpowered. Is he the best 135er in the world? No. Get that out of here. No way. Not a chance. Not a chance on God's green earth. That is true. Yet. I think Corey Sandhagen is going to be a world champion one day. It's just a matter of when, who he's going to beat. Corey Sandhagen's going to be a champion one day. He will be. Straight up, 100%. Now, in his post-fight interview, he's gone for a title shot. Corey Sandhagen, especially after beating Frankie Edgar in 28 seconds, if that was me, I'd call for a title shot too, especially if I'm in his shoes. But as an analyst and a fan of the sport, I don't think that he should get that next. It's no problem to Frankie Edgar. It's just I don't believe that beating Frankie Edgar nowadays is worthy of a title shot. But I don't care who's next. He's one win away from a title shot. And what you have to do, in my opinion, my humble opinion, listen to this. Corey Sandhagen, TJ Dillashaw, winner fights for the belt. Duh. Is that not clear cut to everybody? People really think Corey Sandhagen should get a shot? Because if Sandhagen gets a shot, you have to wait after March 6th for Sterling and Jan to be done. And then you have to wait for Sandhagen and whoever wins that fight. And then TJ Dillashaw can get a shot. I think TJ Dillashaw is one win away from a title shot. It was his title when he left. Now, granted, all that stuff happened, and, people are like, oh, he cheated. He doesn't deserve a shot. I don't care. TJ Dillashaw, in my opinion, is probably one or two greatest bantamweights of all time. Only other person is Dominic Cruz. And the way Dominic Cruz has been fighting lately, I think it might be TJ Dillashaw. Because in my opinion, if you're the greatest in a division, you can hold up in that division. And Dom has not been able to hold up in that division lately. So I think TJ Dillashaw is the greatest 135er of all time. But even after that, I don't think that TJ Dillashaw deserves a title shot off rip. And me personally, I don't think Corey Sandhagen deserves a title shot off rip quite yet. And the only reason I'm saying that is because TJ Dillashaw is back. TJ Dillashaw was still in a suspension, still had 4 or 5 months left on it. I'd say Corey Sandhagen deserves this shot, give it to him. But I just don't. But I think that now with Sandhagen there and TJ Dillashaw coming back, you have two number one contenders who are fighting for who should, in many people's opinion, should both be fighting for belts next. We're back. Took like a 10-minute break. Still can't talk. Posture. What the heck's posture even mean, man? I'm about to sit like this. God. Golly gee. Hate this. But anyway, geez. posture. That's a stupid word. But anyway, UFC. If you're listening to me, if you listen to the show, I know you don't. Whatever. Corey Sandhagen, TJ Dillashaw for number one contendership needs to be next. It needs to be next. Book it. TJ Dillashaw is healthy. Corey Sandhagen's healthy. Book it for the same card as Stipe Ngannou. Or if you want to be cool, make it a fight night main event. But if TJ Dillashaw is fighting, that's cash in the UFC's pocket. They want to make that a pay-per-view. Make that a co-main event for a pay-per-view. Make it happen. If it's on UFC 260 and it goes TJ Dillashaw's returning against Corey Sandhagen, then Volkanovski Ortega, then Miocic Ngannou too. That's the card of the year. If that was to happen, it's not going to because I don't know anything. But if that was to happen, that's the card of the year, 100%. 100%. TJ UFC is making Dana White's like he's bathing in cash. Simple as that. Corey Sandhagen, TJ Dillashaw for number one contendership needs to be next. You have Jan versus Sterling, March 6th. That should have already happened. And if that would have already happened back in, December 12th or something like that, if that fight would have already happened back, then I guess you could give Corey Sandhagen a title shot against whoever won the fight, and then give whoever didn't win that fight, TJ Dillashaw. You have 4 dudes right now at 135 who are all, the top 4 in my opinion. You have Aljamain Sterling, Peter Yan, Corey Sandhagen, and now you have TJ Dillashaw back. In my opinion, those 4 need to do like a round robin, some kind of garbage to fight it out, to prove who is the best out of those 4. So that's why you do Sandhagen Dillashaw, and the winner of that fights the winner of Yan and Sterling. And I rest my case. Make it happen, UFC. Main event, Overeem Volkov. I'm not gonna lie, I was 100% sold on the Reams whole one last run thing. I got 1 belt to chase. Let's chase it. I was 100% sold on it all. Now, Now, it sucks seeing both Frank Edgar and Alistair Overeem go down in vicious fashions back-to-back in the same night. But that's just a fight game. That's just the game we live in. There's young dudes up and coming all the time. And, sucks when you got to see people that you grew up watching go down. I mean, I didn't grow up watching. I hated this stuff till I was 13 years old. So I don't really have much way to talk. But, there's a lot of people who got in this sport because Frank Edgar. People got in this sport because of Alistair Overeem. And sucks to see him go down. I was 100% sold on his whole one last run thing. That, I kind of just discredited Volkov for no reason. Volkov got that nasty piece on his back. Honestly, probably the best tattoo in the UFC, for being honest. I just discredited Alexander Volkov. It's as simple as that. His striking just looked on point, and as soon as the fight started, Alexander just couldn't do anything. His jab was working good. That hook, he broke his nose in the first, and he was just a bloody mess. Alistair Overeem bleeds a lot. I don't think people realize how much he bleeds. And if for Alexander Volkov to go out there and do it to Alistair Overeem, it's awesome. It's awesome. It for him, sucks for Alistair Overeem, especially for an Overeem who's just trying to get one last belt. I think at this point he should just realize that he's not beating Francis Ngannou. I'm sorry, Reem. He's not beating Steve Miocic. I'm sorry. Lost to Curtis Blades. I guess you want to give him Derek Lewis next so he can try again, I guess, but it's just weird. It's weird. Or if the UFC wants to give him a Cyril Gane versus Jair Rose straight loser, I can get behind that. It's a really weird thing for Alistair Overeem. He's kind of old, but no, he's still performing at his age. Especially except this weekend, of course, he didn't look too good. He looked like every bit of 40 or 43, something crazy like that. I don't know. Just old, straight up old. But it's tough. It's just tough to see stuff like that. And next for Volkov, I think you give him the winner of Gain versus Dresser and Rosenstrike. And at that point, I guess if Gain is to win both of those, I guess he deserves a title shot. It's just crazy at 265 at heavyweight because, in my opinion, you have Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou, a ton of garbage, and then everybody else. And I don't think if there's going to be anybody who can crack into that Stipe Miocic, Francis Ngannou. The only thing is in March, if Francis Ngannou is to beat Stipe, then I feel like there's a lot of people who can go out there and beat Francis Ngannou. Excuse me, I shouldn't say a lot because there's been two people that crack him, and one was a fight with Derek Lewis that was god awful. I don't even count that, and nobody won that fight. And Stipe Miocic, at least in recent memory, I know he has another loss on his record. Who the heck beat that guy on the up and come? I don't know. Shout out to that guy. Yeah, it's really weird at heavyweight right now. Reem, I just figured out, man. It's not happening. It ain't happening. You ain't getting that last belt. You're not beating Stipe. You're not beating Francis. It sucks. I know we all want to live our dreams. Things happen. Get over it, bro. You're a legend. We love you out there, but it ain't happening. Volkov, he's calling for a title shot. Shut up, Alexander. You ain't getting that. You're not even close. He's out there on 2 wins in a row. Against who did he beat? Who? I don't know, or really care. If we're being honest. But he's on a 2-fight win streak since his absolute beating the Curtis Blades and Lewis fight next weekend. Not this weekend coming up. We got Burns and Usman, which I'll get into in a minute. This coming up weekend, and then after that we Blades Lewis, and I think that's it's a big fight in heavyweight. Curtis Blades gonna win by snooze fest. Derek Lewis ain't gonna know what to do. Blades hits hard too. There's a lot of people who don't like Curtis Blades. I'm a big fan of Curtis Blades. Just because I think he's a cool dude, and I don't find him that boring. Like, yeah, he wrestles a lot, but I don't find him that boring. Look at how much you wrestle. If you're at 265, your fights are probably fun because somebody's probably getting knocked out, and if not, you're just gonna get absolutely yossed by Curtis Blades on the ground. So that's what we had for the past weekend. Before we get into this upcoming fight week for Gilbert Burns tomorrow, Usman. Just gonna talk about Bellator for a second. Today is Wednesday, or it's technically Thursday now, and there's a big Bellator announcement on Tuesday. What that turned out to be, let me pull it up. What that turned out to be is the Bellator light heavyweight is it heavyweight? Hang on. I might have messed this up. I think it's heavyweight, actually. Oh, no, it is light heavyweight. The light heavyweight Grand Prix. You have Ryan Bader fighting Lyoto Machida. Ryan Bader is, if you don't know, is a dog. Lyoto Machida, past his prime, but still pretty good. Corey Anderson versus him. I'm not saying that. You can look it up for yourself. You have Corey Anderson in there. You have Vladimir Nemkov, the champ, versus Phil Mr. Wonderful Davis. Vladimir Nemkov is the champ. He's a beast. Get over it. And then the one that everybody's talking about, the one that everybody wants to hypothesize about. Yoel Romero versus Anthony Rumble Johnson in Rumble's first fight in 5 years? Something like that. That is a fight for the ages. And I can't believe that this is happening in Bellator. Just straight up. Who would have thought this would be happening in Bellator? UFC could have made this fight. They didn't. So Bellator's like, you know what? We'll do it, I guess. I ain't complaining. But the only thing I am complaining about is the fact that You have Anthony Johnson, who hasn't fought in 5 years, and a 43-year-old Yoel Romero, who, I mean, I guess at 43, Yoel Romero is basically like, I'll say he's like 36, basically. Who knows? Who knows how old that guy is? He's killing it at the game. He's a beast. But this is a fight that I think people are getting really excited for and aren't really thinking about it. You have Rumble, who is a straight-up striker. You have Yoel Romero, who is a striker but has a wrestling background he does not use. There's $1 million on the line. There's $1 million on the line. You're going to do what you have to do to win. I think Yoel Romero just absolutely just kills him on the ground, if we're being honest. If you want my full, honest opinion, I think Yoel Romero wins this fight boringly. I think this is a terrible fight. Now, on paper, it's an awesome fight. But you have Yoel Romero, who has stayed consistent. He stayed active in the UFC, fighting, training. You have Romero, you have Rumble, who stopped fighting. He retired, hasn't fought in 5 years. He became a bodybuilder, which, I mean, that dude got stronger. That dude is going to hit hard, emphasis on hit hard, but at the same time, it's Yoel Romero. Paulo Costa clipped him, didn't go down. Israel Adesanya didn't do much, but he won. Yoel Romero has a chin. Does Rumble have what it takes to knock him out? I don't think he does. I just think that Yoel Romero is going to be the more superior fighter and show his worth. I think that's all. It's no disrespect in any which way. I just think that's what happens. Want my full honest truth? I'm going to give you the full honest truth. I think it's a boring fight. I do think that coming out of this, I think it'll be Ryan Bader versus Vladimir Nemkov, and I think Ryan Bader will get his belt back. That's my prediction. Starts April 9th, and then April 16th. Then we got the semifinals in July and the final in October. That's an absolute awesome Grand Prix. I wish UFC would do more of these, or would do one in general. I feel like it really proves who's the best in each division, rather than the UFC making their ranking system. I think it's kind of a broken ranking system. Nobody really understands it. Nobody really cares about it anymore. It's kind of just there to be there. It doesn't mean anything. If you sell a fight, you'll get a title shot. If you're good, sell a fight, it's yours. Don't care if anybody's on a 10-fight win streak, has never lost, undefeated, just beat everybody else. It's just how it works these days, man. But yeah, it's fight week. It's fight week. UFC 258. Shout out to Andrew Downer. Watching it with my boy. I'm going to show him some things. He said he wants to hands-on learn. I'm going to give him that 1-2. Ooh, I'm just kidding. That's all love, Downsy. But anyway, you have a pay-per-view that's coming up weekend in which, if we're being honest, for the amount that they ask you to pay is not worth it. Am I going to buy it? Heck yeah, I'm going to buy it. And I'm just going to talk about the main event. And then I'll go through the rest of the card a little bit. In short, two former friends, Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns. I've been watching the embeddeds. I've been watching the countdown. And it seems to me, in my whole humble opinion, that you have Kamaru Usman, who's trying to portray a bad guy, saying, yeah, it's my former friend. And then, my former friend, former training partner, now he's my foe. Then you have Gilbert Burns, on the other hand, he's talking about all these times his kids have played with Kamaru's kid, and all this stuff just being so nice to him. That scares me for Gilbert. I'm not a Gilbert fan by any means, but I'm cheering for him when I'm cheering. Like I'm not a fan of him. I'm not crazy for the guy, but he's one of my favorite dudes to watch. So I'm cheering for Gilbert Burns. It worries me the way he's acting, and all this being Kamaru's friend and stuff. Former friend, whatever the heck you want to call it. I think that Burns has a lot more opportunity to win this fight than people are giving him a shot for. I think he's like plus 280 or something like that. I think it's almost 3-1 odds. I think Burns has a lot better of a chance at winning this fight than people are giving him credit for. It sounds to me, at least, that in all their training, all their sparring, it sounds to me like Gilbert Burns has actually gotten the better of Kamaru Usman in training in their former times at Sanford. But at the same time, you have to think. You have Kamaru Usman, who has beaten Tyron Woodley, Colby Covington, Jorge Masvidal, and now he's with Trevor Whitman. He was with Trevor Whitman before, but besides that, Kamaru Usman with Trevor Whitman is, in my opinion, you have a disgusting, a phenomenal. I'm not gonna say he's the greatest of all time. He's definitely top 10. You have one of the best. Welterweights of all time. And now you give him the greatest coach, in my opinion, the best coach in mixed martial arts. He's gonna go out there and he's gonna improve and perform. He's training with Justin Gaethje now. Who else is up there? I don't know. I don't know who's with Trevor Whitman. Rose Namajunas, they ain't fighting, but whatever. She's there. Kamaru Usman is only getting better, and I think Gilbert Burns is kind of stagnant. So, in my opinion, if I was to bet the house on something, I'd probably go with Kamaru Usman. But at the same time, I give Gilbert Burns a lot of chance to win this fight. I think Burns hits a lot harder than Usman does. I think it's a traditional Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu versus wrestler background. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen when those two styles collide. Tends to favor the wrestler, though. So that scares me for Burns. But at the same time, it just sounds to me like in these training sessions that they've had, that Burns has gotten a lot of the better of Kamaru. And so that gets me excited. I think that Burns can win this fight. And I'm not saying he's going to. In my opinion, if I was to put my house on something, I would probably put it on Kamaru. But I give Gilbert Burns a lot better shot than people are giving him. I do. I'm big on Gilbert Burns. I think his run, he's beaten Damian Maia, Gunnar Nelson, obliterated Tyron Woodley. It's a good run. Same time, you have Kamaru Usman, whose past 3 fights have been Tyron Woodley, Colby Covington, Jorge Masvidal. Which one's better? I'm going to go with Kamaru Usman. I think he's fought the better people. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know what goes on in their sparring. I don't know what goes on in their training. But it's that classic former teammate, former friend matchup. Those fights tend to be boring. They tend to be boring because of the fact that both the guys know each other's weaknesses. They both know their strengths. And so they're going to try and do weird things that they're probably not really good at to surprise them. And it just depends on what happens. It just depends on what happens over there. It should be a good fight, hopefully. Hopefully it's not a boring teammate fight. It should be a good fight. It's not an awesome card. It's kind of a trash card, to be honest. But make sure you tune in, buy pay-per-view. Don't catch Uncle Dana watching you because you might get killed. But the main card, I'll just give it to you guys. Bobby Green, Jim Miller, legends. Julian Marquez, beast, versus fighting Amaki Pitolo. Amaki Pitolo is good. He's going to win that fight. You have Kelvin Gastelum trying to get back in the win streak versus Ian Heinisch. Hopefully Gastelum gets back in the win column. He's a good dude. And then co-main event, Macy, the future barber. Hi, Macy. Hi. Versus Alexia Grasso. That should be a good fight. Why is that the co-main event over Kelvin Gastelum and Heinisch? I don't know, but I'm not cultured for a reason. I'm not a fighter. I'm not making these fights for a reason. But besides that, that's about all I got for you. Thank you guys for listening to this episode. Follow us on Instagram at the Underground 4, or if you're not cultured, at the Underground F4, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, make sure you turn into the fights this week. Should be a good card. Hopefully it's a good fight. Hopefully it's a good card. I'm looking forward to it. And that's about all the time we got today. I'm very excited. 2:50 in the morning now. Very excited for this card this weekend. And hopefully you guys can tune in. If not, then hopefully you guys can tune in on Monday with a new episode of the Underground MMA Show. I'll see you guys on Monday. Everybody stay safe. Be nice to each other. And just be good people. It's as simple as that. Just be a good person. If you guys listen to this, I love you, and I'll see you guys next week.